Okay. Hi everyone, this is SmithyQ from SmithyQ.com. I'm back here with another video analysis. This is going to be nice and quick, and this here is, it's kind of me bragging a little bit. This is probably the best Blitz game I've ever played. It was fun, it's got tactics, it's an attack, everything's happy, everything's great, and might as well brag a little bit. But also, it came against a friend of the blog, Rao Rao. We played it several games now, and they've been fun, good games, pretty educational. I think we can learn from this game. We can see the nature of an attack and just general Blitz strategy, or at least how I approach Blitz. Now I'm raid 1900. That's not too bad. Opening was e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. I played my favorite opening, Scotch. Now from here, we've played, I believe, 3 games together. In the first game, we saw this position, in which black suffered in a very long endgame. That wasn't very fun. In the second game we played, there was the Steinitz variation, in which black won a pawn, but he ended up having problems with c7, and he lost in a pretty typical attack, we'll say. In this game, he tried something a little bit cheeky, in all honesty, d5. d5 is one of those moves that you just think on the surface can't work, but the more you look at it, you realize it's kind of hard to simply refute it. And then if you don't play perfectly accurately, black can get a good game. On the surface, a move like this simply can't. If this move worked, then the whole Scotch would be just refuted. Absolutely refuted. The question is, how do you do it? I've usually played bishop b5, but I've played against enough Blitz people who've shot out a move like this or similar that I actually analyzed it with the computer, and I'm pretty sure this is the refutation of d5. We just take it. Makes perfect sense, right? Can't take the knight because then we're up a pawn. That's not very good for him. So he has to take with the queen. Now we could play knight c3, but the best move here is queen e2, taking advantage of the specific concrete nature of this position. And the problem is that you want to play bishop e7. That would be the normal natural move. But then after knight b5, it's very difficult to defend c7. This bishop is pinned, this knight doesn't help, you don't want to move your king over, that'd be terrible. And if you move the queen somewhere, you say back to d8, and after bishop f4, you're just SOL, basically. And so that means you cannot play bishop e7 in response to queen e2. But if you don't do that, then you have to do something like bishop e6. But that's pretty terrible, because after take, if you take with the queen, you're stuck in a pretty crappy endgame where you have an isolated pawn, white has no weaknesses, and you're going to suffer for a pretty long time. And if you take with the queen, we just did that. If you take with the pawn, then, well, you've got a weak pawn with the queen already facing on it. We're going to play knight c3, move the bishop, maybe to bishop d2, castle, very fast development, huge pressure here. I'm not saying that black is losing, but this is not a position you want to get as black. So, hint, hint, if anyone ever plays a Scotch against me, that's how I'm going to react. In the game, I played bishop b5. Then after queen d6, I now took the pawn. Because after he takes back, it's almost as if we have the exact same position, but I have the extra tempo of bishop b5. The thing is, this is my real blemish in this game, is that I rushed and I played knight c3, and then he played queen e5 check. And we both missed that queen takes g2 is possible. Now, normally, you don't even want to consider this type of move because, well, you're winning a pawn on the side of the board, you're not developing, you're already behind development, things could get bad. But the problem is there's no real good... I can't play rook g1, there's no knight on f3. If I'm forced to play queen f3, well then, this position is a lot less scary without queens on the board. And if I end up having to play rook f1, that's a pretty funny position for the rook. That's not very useful. Maybe you can play bishop d7 and castle. And the computer says white does not have compensation for the pawn. like, yeah. So, again, Blitz games, there's errors. Fortunately, it was still pretty educational, we'll say. After queen e5, bishop e3, we can see it's been 8 moves. I have all my pieces developed. Every minor piece is developed. I'm ready to castle. I can either move my queen and go queenside, or just castle kingside right away. Things are great. Black only has 2 pieces developed, though it is his move. He ends up playing bishop d7. But one of those pieces is the queen. And we can imagine that it's going to get in trouble. We have something like knight f... Not that, no. Knight f3. We can castle and play rook e1. Castle and get some bishop f4 action. The queen's going to be a target, even f4 potentially. And so I'm going to win even more time. And we're going to see that happen in the game. I castled. He plays bishop d6. The computer likes g3 here, but what I did is very, very common in Blitz. G3 seems very slow to me, even though the computer thinks it's great. I played knight f3, because it both protects mate, which is good, and it also attacks the queen. And this is so important, especially in Blitz, is you want to give your opponent problems. You want to attack, you want to push him back, you want to do that generally, but the more problems and the harder the problems that your opponent has to solve, the more likely they are to make incorrect moves, to make poor decisions, or to make the right move but spend 30 seconds and then end up losing, because they lose on time. He brings the queen back. This allowed me to jump my knight in. Knight d5, I improve my knight. Then I'm able to play bishop g5. We can see this. My pieces are going forward. He plays knight e7, and then rook e1. Almost everything, with the exception of this one rook, is taking part in the attack. And it's very difficult for Black to have a good move here. I don't know what the right move is. Already, my activity is +2, so says the computer. If you were to castle, which is the type of move you want to do, it doesn't work, unfortunately, just due to the tactics. Because after take, we've got 3 pieces attacking this and only 2 pieces defending it. So that's not very good. But if you can't castle, you can't leave your king there. All your pieces are stuck bunched around. What do? Everything's pinned. So you played f6, which makes a lot of sense. Like, if this was a move that could work, you try it, right? What do you have to lose? And so what do you do as white? Well, I said it was my best Blitz game, right? So I thought, for about 30 seconds here, do you have the time here? Maybe it was only 15 seconds. It felt longer. It felt like an eternity. And yeah, I sacrificed the piece. But what do I get? And so often, when we think about sacrifices, we tend to think about what we're giving up. Oh no, I'm giving up a piece. There better be something good. Well, that's true. There's also the inverse. What are you getting? For the piece, I am getting 2 pawns and all of these open lines for his king. And his king is now going to be stuck wide out here in the open. Even in the worst case scenario, the absolute worst case scenario, I have 2 pawns for a piece and an attack. That's not nothing. That's a lot better than losing a piece for nothing, right? So go for it. Plus it's Blitz. Have some fun. In what follows, we can see, I'm just going to go through the game. There are better moves that we could have been doing, but I just want to share the thought process here. I want to get the queen out. If I can get the queen to h5, I probably just win. That's what I'm thinking. How do I get the queen to h5? I move the knight. Where do I move the knight to? What's a good square? Well, knight g5. He takes my knight. Do I have anything after that? I don't know. I didn't see it. So I played knight h5 first. Now, my plan is to move this knight somewhere, then bring the queen out. I can't go to h5. Bring my queen out somewhere, go for checkmate. That's it. The knight here, again, it's kind of annoying, but it does control 2 squares near the king. And so that gives me the option of bringing my queen to one of those 2 squares, and then it's going to be mate. He played h6 to prevent knight g5. Makes a lot of sense. Bishop c4 check. king f8, and then knight h4, which is a kind of... This is really funny. It's humorous. Look, both my knights are on the edge of the board. They do control... Oops. Quite a few squares, though. And the real thing is that queen f3 is coming, or rook e3 and rook over, and it's absolutely devastating. How do you defend? How do you defend against all these ideas? And the computer already is saying what? It's like, the attack is winning. He ended up playing knight e5, which makes some sense. I just take it away. I actually spent more time on this move, 20 seconds. Huh. In my head, I remember I thought I played this instantly. But you take it away. Because after this, we can just see everything is coming at him. Everything. Queen f3 check. He barely has a move. All right, he blocks the knight. And able to come in. Knight g6 check. And just look at all of these. No. Arrows are tough. Do you know how hard it is to draw arrows? Almost every square is already taken. It's almost mate already. What can he do? Goes over king e8. Then after queen d5, threatening mate, he blocks the knight. After queen e5, there's nothing left. That's game. And we can see it from move 10. Almost every move is just going forward. Every move is giving him something to think about. Pushing him back. Pushing him back. Pushing him back. Look at those pieces. Every piece is in, except for my one rook. And so, of course, I sacrifice. And now, this isn't the most accurate. For fun, you can look at it yourself. Or actually, for all my YouTube videos going on now, I'm going to have I'll post them not only on my blog, but on Lichess, or Lichess, whatever you want to, however you pronounce this. It'll have its own special study where I'll annotate it, and I'll have all the details there as well. So it's an alternative way to view this content. And I don't think I've ever played a game where I had both my knights on the edge of the board, coming in, trying to attack a king who has no defense. And they're able to finish it off with another exchange sacrifice. And the pieces, they just keep sliding in. And it's going to be mate next move. Pretty. So I just want to share that. Hopefully you found that interesting, educational, and you get a glimpse into the thought process there. Just go forward, push them back, make them solve problems. Because it's a lot easier to create problems than it is to solve them. And again, I didn't play perfectly. In fact, the computer says some of my moves are garbage. But almost, even from here, and they got 3, 7, 3. The entire time, even though I'm down material, I'm still going for a piece. I got at least that compensation. So that's that. So hopefully that was enjoyable. Hopefully that helped. Let me know, comments, thoughts, and but that's it for now. So thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.